Meanwhile, Friday night, actually, technically, the government was shut down for, 15, 20 minutes, half an hour. A deal was struck essentially to keep the federal government funded for a week. The broad outlines of the cuts were agreed upon. We're still waiting to see the details of those cuts. We're starting to see some trickle in. But it cut almost $39 billion. If you use spending in 2010 as a starting point, which was about 78, 79 billion below what Obama asked for his budget. And it was actually more. The cuts were greater, about $6.5 billion more than Speaker Bonaire's first proposal back in February. It didn't reach the $100 million number that the Tea Party wanted, missed it by about a little over $20 billion. The riders that the Republicans wanted, at least most of them, defunding Planned Parenthood, NPR, a litany of these riders basically specifying where the cuts would go that had nothing really to do with the budget, had more to do with the so-called fiscally responsible Tea Partiers' cultural war. Did not make it, however, one or two did for the District of Columbia. I'll get to that in a moment. Slightly half the cuts came from parts of the budget other than non-discretionary spending. Saved things, theoretically, like Pell Grants and Head Start. And the most, I guess, distressing part of the whole experience was to hear Obama talk about it as a victory, to hear Harry Reid talk about it as historic, and not in a pejorative way. Watergate was also historic. Vietnam, also historic. And this is just the beginning, folks. We now have the debt ceiling and the 2012 budget fights ahead of us. Some details still coming in. Republicans and Democrats are still haggling over this. They'll be doing this over the course of the next week. Democrats said, like I had mentioned, it mitigated proposed cuts to key education and health programs. New York Times has a window into the agreement at this point, just coming out today. $13 billion from programs at the Departments of Labor, Education, Health, and Human Services would extract $1 billion more in an across-the-board cut from domestic agencies. There will be reductions to housing assistance programs and some health care programs, along with $8 billion in cuts to the State Department and foreign aid. It's not like there's much going on the foreign policy front that would affect national security going forward in any way. It would cut more than $2 billion set aside for the creation of a private nonprofit health insurance cooperatives. This is, again, Republicans' attack on the Affordable Care Act. It also eliminates programs that would have allowed hundreds of thousands of lower-income workers to opt out of employer-sponsored health plans and use the employer's contribution to buy coverage on their own through new insurance exchanges. Ryan Grimm over Twitter over the weekend said that the deal also denies funding for additional IRS agents. A perfect example has this, how this has nothing to do with the deficit. We know that for every dollar spent on IRS enforcement, you get 10 back. There would be a run on certificate of deposits if it gave you half that return. I think if you lock your money up for 3 years now, you get 2% return on that. Unbelievable. And as far as these policy riders, there's at least one, and this is just lovely. It's a ban on the District of Columbia's government-funded abortions. In other words, no help for poor women who want to maintain some sovereignty over their body. You'll have to head to Virginia, I guess, or to Maryland. If you don't have a car, you're just forced to have that child.